You have been sold a massive lie about what makes human beings happy. Since childhood, society hands you a very specific, alluring dream. Work hard, make money, and then earn the right to do absolutely nothing. You picture yourself collapsing onto a pristine white beach, a cold drink sweating in your hand, staring blankly into the ocean horizon, completely devoid of obligations or effort. You imagine this as the peak of human existence. But when you examine the physical reality of unstructured free time, a much darker, grim picture emerges. When you finally get a weekend with zero plans, your chest begins to tighten. You slump into the corner of your sofa. Your thumbs mindlessly swipe through endless bright social media feeds. Your eyes glaze over, your posture collapses, and a creeping sense of hollow emptiness settles deep into the pit of your stomach. You are not experiencing relaxation. You are experiencing psychic entropy. Decades of rigorous psychological research reveal a counterintuitive truth. The human nervous system is not built for prolonged periods of passive leisure. We feel our absolute best, not when we are consuming entertainment, but when our minds and bodies stretch to their absolute limits in a voluntary, focused effort to accomplish something difficult and worthwhile. This optimal state of human consciousness, where performance skyrockets and time vanishes, is called flow. Coined by the legendary psychologist Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi, the concept of flow shatters our modern obsession with comfort. We chase easy lives, assuming that removing friction will eliminate our misery. Yet the absence of friction leaves the brain starving for order. Without a clear target, human attention turns inward, chewing on unresolved anxieties, past regrets, and future fears. Your jaw clenches. Your breathing becomes shallow and you feel adrift in your own mind. The answer is not to seek a life free of burdens, but to choose the exact right burdens to carry. To master your own consciousness, you must understand how to engineer this optimal state on demand. But before you can unlock the mechanics of peak human performance, you must first confront the psychological trap that keeps the modern worker paralyzed, exhausted, and desperately waiting for the weekend. Module 1. The Trap of Leisure and Happiness. Friday evening arrives. The clock strikes 5. You shut the laptop, let out a massive, heavy sigh, and drop your shoulders. You survived another week. You anticipate a weekend of pure, uninterrupted joy. Yet, by Saturday afternoon, a familiar restlessness creeps into your bones. You pace around the kitchen. You open the refrigerator door, stare at the shelves for a full minute, and close it without grabbing a single item. Your muscles hold a strange, rigid tension. You flip through streaming services, your eyes scanning dozens of titles, but nothing appeals to you. A heavy, dull sensation anchors your limbs to the floor. This is the modern tragedy of the worker. We invest massive amounts of energy surviving our jobs, dreaming of empty time. But when the emptiness arrives, it brings zero fulfillment. Why does work leave us craving an empty weekend, yet the weekend leaves us feeling hollow? Because our daily environments operate on a broken foundation. Recent data from Gallup paints a devastating picture of the global workforce. Only 20% of employees worldwide are engaged in their roles, creating a massive void that costs the global economy $10 trillion in lost productivity. A staggering 51% of workers are watching for or actively seeking a new job, carrying an enormous burden of daily stress. We spend 8 hours a day in environments that demand compliance rather than mastery. Bosses hand down ambiguous tasks. We sit in endless meetings, eyes heavy, biting our lips to suppress yawns, waiting for the clock to run out. We return home with hunched shoulders and stiff necks, assuming that work is the ultimate enemy and leisure is the only cure. We fail to recognize that a lack of deep engagement is the true source of our chronic exhaustion. The human mind abhors a vacuum. Like an untended garden, consciousness grows the weeds of anxiety when left without a task. The solution requires a radical shift in how you spend your free time. Instead of collapsing on the couch, you must engage in active leisure. You must match your current skills against a meaningful challenge. Pick up a guitar, paint a canvas, build a piece of furniture. You must find an activity that pushes your abilities just beyond their current comfort zone. When the challenge matches your skill, the anxiety of everyday life evaporates. Your hands move with sudden precision. Your breathing steadies into a slow, rhythmic pattern. The ambient noise of the room fades into silence. You transform unstructured, anxiety-inducing time into an arena of intense, rewarding focus. Your mind organizes itself, replacing chaos with profound order. But finding a weekend hobby is just the beginning. To conquer the crushing demands of your career and double your daily output without burning out, you need to understand the precise underlying mechanics of human focus. Module 2, the anatomy of the zone. You sit at your desk, staring at a blank, glowing screen. A complex project looms over you. You wait for inspiration to strike, believing that peak performance is a mystical visitor arriving by sheer chance. Your leg bounces uncontrollably under the desk. You bite your fingernails. You tap the backspace key, deleting the exact same sentence over and over again. The physical ache of procrastination settles heavy in your chest. You feel a familiar tightness in your throat as the deadline inches closer. You assume some people possess a magic touch, while you remain cursed with endless agonizing friction. This belief is a devastating myth. Flow is not a random weather event. It is a measurable, engineered state of human neurology. When we leave our focus to chance, we leave massive human potential dormant. McKinsey conducted a monumental 10-year study on peak performance in the workplace, uncovering a staggering truth. Top executives reported being 500% more productive when operating in a state of flow. Imagine completing an entire week of complex strategic planning by sunset on a single Monday. Yet the tragedy lies in our execution. The same study revealed that most professionals spend less than 5% of their working lives in this optimal state. We drive a sports car in first gear, wondering why the engine whines and the journey takes forever. We grip the steering wheel, knuckles white, forcing our way through tasks with brute willpower. Willpower depletes. It drains the glucose from your brain, leaving you reaching for sugary snacks and caffeine just to keep your eyes open. The solution is to stop waiting for inspiration and start constructing the precise architecture of flow. You must implement two non-negotiable requirements: clear goals and immediate feedback. Vague goals destroy focus. Telling yourself to work on the presentation creates a fog of ambiguity. Your brain refuses to engage. Instead, define a microscopic, razor-sharp target. Tell yourself to write one paragraph analyzing the third quarter revenue deficit. The moment you create a sharp boundary, the mental fog lifts. Next, you need immediate feedback. You must know if your actions are working in real time. A surgeon makes an incision and sees the result instantly. A tennis player feels the vibration of a bad swing travel up their forearm. In knowledge work, you create feedback loops by working in short, intense bursts against a ticking clock. Set a timer for 20 minutes. Aim to complete one specific milestone before the alarm rings. The ticking clock becomes your feedback mechanism. Your posture straightens, your eyes lock onto the screen. The rhythmic clicking of your keyboard becomes a physical manifestation of your momentum. You stop forcing the work. The work begins to pull you forward. But even the most perfect goals will shatter into jagged pieces if you fail to protect your environment from the modern world's most dangerous weapon. Module 3. Conquering Psychic Entropy. You have your clear goal. You start typing. You feel the initial spark of momentum. Then, a tiny piece of plastic and glass illuminates on your desk. A sharp buzz vibrates against the wood. In a fraction of a second, your pupils dilate. Your heart rate registers a microscopic spike. Before your rational brain can intervene, your hand reaches out. You unlock the screen. You read a meaningless message. You put the device down. When you look back at your computer monitor, the magic is gone. Your train of thought is a derailed locomotive. You stare at the words, but they hold zero meaning. Your breath shortens. Frustration boils hot in your stomach. We underestimate the cognitive damage of a single interruption. We assume a quick glance at a notification costs us nothing. Science tells a horrifying story. A recent study published in Computers in Human Behavior demonstrates that a single smartphone pop-up derails your mental focus for a full 7 seconds, causing profound cognitive disruption even if you do not touch the device. The sheer visual cue of the alert fractures your attention. This damage compounds relentlessly over the day, Researchers from the National Bureau of Economic Research analyzed our digital habits and found a widespread, systemic lack of self-control. The average person spends roughly 2.5 hours a day chained to their phone, checking the device between 50 and 80 times. Every single check acts as a sledgehammer to your concentration. Your brain must unload the context of your work, load the context of the text message, process the emotion, unload it, and attempt to reload the work. This causes massive physical fatigue. Your skull feels heavy. Your eyes burn. You rub your temples to soothe the pressure. Your brain enters a state of total disorder. You experience the profound exhaustion of running a marathon while sitting completely still in a padded office chair. The only effective solution is ruthless environmental design. You cannot battle a team of engineers who design these alerts to hijack your dopamine receptors using mere willpower. You must eliminate the triggers entirely. Before you begin a complex task, take your phone, silence the ringer, and place it inside a drawer in a different room. Close out every single digital tab not directly related to your target. Wear noise-cancelling headphones to block out the ambient chatter and foot traffic of the office. When you strip away the visual and auditory cues of the outside world, you build an impenetrable physical fortress around your attention. Your nervous system calms. The frantic, anxious darting of your eyes stops. You sink deeper into your chair, your shoulder muscles relaxing as your mind sharpens into a single, unbreakable point of focus. You regain command over your own consciousness. Yet even with perfect, uninterrupted focus, you will eventually face the hollow emptiness of modern success unless you master the internal motivation behind your actions. Module 4. The Autotelic Personality. Picture the pursuit of modern success. You sacrifice your sleep, grind your teeth down to the nerve, and endure immense physical stress to secure a major promotion. You treat every late night at the office as a painful, necessary transaction. You tell yourself the suffering will end the exact moment they hand you the new title. The day arrives. Your boss shakes your hand. The massive direct deposit hits your bank account. You smile wide for your colleagues. But when you drive home alone, gripping the steering wheel in the quiet darkness of your car, a dark, sinking feeling hits your gut. You feel identical to the person you were yesterday. The external reward provided a fleeting rush, followed rapidly by a profound, echoing emptiness. We live in a culture obsessed with outcomes, treating the present moment as a mere obstacle to overcome. This mindset creates a catastrophic well-being crisis. Recent psychological assessments reveal a grim reality. Only a mere 17% of the population is genuinely flourishing. The overwhelming majority, 83% of individuals, remain trapped in a grey zone of existence, feeling disconnected, apathetic, and numb. Why does this massive gap exist? Researchers discovered that the flourishing minority possesses a distinct psychological framework known as an autotelic personality. These rare individuals experience the optimal state of flow 48 to 64% more often than the rest of the population. Derived from two Greek words, auto, meaning self, and telos, meaning goal, autotelic describes someone who does not work for the applause, the trophy, or the paycheck. They work because the act of working serves as the ultimate reward. Those who lack this trait live in perpetual waiting. They wait for Friday. They wait for summer vacations. They wait for retirement. Their posture sags under the crushing weight of constant deferred gratification. Extrinsic motivation feels like a heavy steel chain pulling you forward against your will, your heels digging deep into the dirt. The solution requires transforming your relationship with the process. You must cultivate an autotelic approach to your daily life. Shift your gaze away from the distant finish line and zoom in on the microscopic mechanics of your current task. Think of a master craftsman carving a piece of wood. He runs his fingers over the timber, feeling the raw grain. He listens to the sharp rhythmic sound of the plane shaving off thin ribbons of oak. He forgets to eat. He loses track of the sunset. He is nourished entirely by the friction of the work. If you are analyzing a spreadsheet, do not do it just to appease your manager. Focus on the elegance of the formulas. Find intrinsic joy in creating order out of numerical chaos. When you detach your self-worth from the final outcome, a heavy burden lifts from your shoulders. Your jaw unclenches. The frantic rush to get things done evaporates. You discover profound meaning in the mundane. But even an autotelic master will inevitably face moments of intense, brutal struggle. How you handle the chaotic moments where the work fights back will dictate your ultimate mastery over your mind. Module 5. Engineering the 4-phase cycle. You have set a clear goal. You have locked your phone away. You focus purely on the process, but the work remains brutally difficult. You stare at a complex wall of code or a tangled web of financial data. The numbers blur together into a meaningless grey sludge. Your temples throb with a dull ache. You grip your pen so hard your knuckles turn stark white. You hit a massive mental wall. You assume you have failed to find the zone. You push your chair back, throw your hands up in ultimate defeat, and walk away, believing that flow has abandoned you for the day. This reaction stems from a profound misunderstanding of human biology. We mistakenly view flow as a single light switch you can flip on or off at will. In reality, the science of peak performance outlines a rigid, non-negotiable neurological life cycle consisting of 4 distinct phases: struggle, release, flow, and recovery. You cannot bypass any of these stages. When you hit the struggle phase, your brain is loading massive amounts of new information. This phase is designed to feel terrible. Cortisol and adrenaline flood your bloodstream. Your muscles tense, your heart rate elevates, and frustration reaches a boiling point. Most people experience this sharp chemical spike, interpret it as absolute failure, and quit. They skip the exact biological mechanism required to trigger the peak experience, sabotaging their own neurology. The solution is to master the release phase. When the frustration peaks, when you feel the overwhelming urge to snap your pencil in half or scream at the monitor, you must step away. Do not quit the project, but sever your conscious attention from the problem. Stand up, walk outside, breathe in the cold air, let your arms swing loosely at your sides. As you engage in a low-demand physical activity, your body releases a chemical called nitric oxide, flushing the stress hormones from your system. You experience a physical exhalation. Your shoulders drop an inch. In this moment of release, your subconscious mind takes the massive amount of data you just struggled with and begins forging invisible connections. You return to your desk, sit down, and place your hands on the keyboard. Suddenly, the resistance vanishes. The words pour out. The code compiles. You slip seamlessly into the deep, timeless rhythm of the zone, riding the wave of your own biological cycle rather than fighting against it. Mastering your focus is only the beginning of a meaningful life. To sustain this intense state of flow through years of difficult challenges, you must build an unbreakable psychological foundation. Discover the exact science of relentless perseverance by clicking the video on your screen. Grit, Angela Duckworth. Mastering your focus and finding flow is only the first step to a meaningful life. To sustain this intense concentration through years of difficult challenges, you must build an unbreakable psychological foundation. Discover the exact science of relentless perseverance by clicking the video on your screen. Grit, Angela Duckworth.